Steven Adams and Gordon Hayward are two veteran starters that moved to new teams this offseason. Adams is now the starting center for the Pelicans, and Hayward is now the starting small forward for the Hornets. The context for why I want to talk about these two players is that I disagree with the way the NBA media, particularly podcasters, reacted to both additions. In both cases, NBA pundits saw gluttonous contracts attached to aging bodies on teams that weren't competing for championships. Particularly, pundits hated these signings because they believed these teams were mistakenly sacrificing cap flexibility and lottery position for only marginal improvement. But why would it be wrong for an NBA team to spend money on marginal improvement? Well, it is widely believed that the worst position a team can be in is a position known as the chase for the A seed. It is assumed that teams that are in the middle of the NBA pack, habitually fighting for the 8th and final playoff spot, are destined to a dejected future of late lottery picks and first-round playoff exits. Importantly, it is believed this stops a team from acquiring star-level talent both at the top of the draft and in free agency. In this worldview of team building, committing $18 million to Steven Adams for the 2022 and 2023 season is irresponsible when another center could be acquired for cheaper. The difference in talent between Steven Adams and the cheaper center wouldn't necessarily be important because neither piece would theoretically put the team in a position to win the title during the contract's duration. So even though Adams is widely recognized as a smart, crafty center with natural size and physicality, the idea is the team could get a less valuable center for less cost. The same logic is even more damning when applied to the case of Gordon Hayward. The Hornets gave Hayward a contract that will be paying him over $30 million a year for the next 4 years. This is only made worse by the fact that the Hornets will also have to pay an extra $9 million a year as a result of stretching Nick Batum's contract. So even though most experts agree that Hayward is a talented player, and even though it was speculated that Hayward had other $30 million contract offers on the table from other teams, like the Pacers, the idea of adding Hayward to a non-title contending team at a cost of almost $40 million a year seemed, well, nauseating to many NBA analysts. So the question becomes, why did these two front offices spend valuable resources to make these costly additions, and were they actually wrong to do so? In my opinion, both teams made the additions for two key reasons. One, because they help bolster each franchise's worst liability, and two, because they can help in the development of young players. For the Pelicans last year, the team could easily score but had a struggling defense which gave up the 4th most points in the league. By adding Adams, the Hornets have been able to strengthen their interior defense, rebounding, and their pick and roll defense. I think the pick and roll defense is an especially valuable part of Adams' game as he routinely challenges the ball handler by hedging the screen and then proceeds to get back to his original defensive assignment to stop the inside pass. This ability of Adams to contest the ball handler is a rare luxury for traditional big men, as many big centers struggle hedging a pick and roll and instead are forced to drop in coverage. This drop in coverage exposes defenses to dribble penetration because the center is backpedaling while the ball handler is running to the rim unimpeded. This is such an important asset for the Pelicans defense because the pick and roll is such a commonly used tool by NBA offenses to attack the paint, and it creates opportunities for the ball handler and rolling screen setter to get high efficiency looks inside. Now, I want to first state that any stats we have available so far in the 2021 season should be taken with a grain of salt, as the Pelicans have only played 10 games as of the making of this video, and there has been an extreme level of variance in the games played across the league so far. However, certain stats certainly stand out, like that the Pelicans were 19th in defensive rebounding percentage last year and are now 1st. Another interesting stat is that the Pelicans are currently 4th best in percentage of shots allowed at the rim and are in the top 10 for percentages of shots allowed within the 3-point line. Something that stands out to me is the comparison between these numbers and the numbers for the Bucks defense, which Pelicans head coach Stan Van Gundy has drawn inspiration from. The Bucks have dominated the last 2 regular seasons by taking away shots at the rim and forcing opposing defenses to shoot threes. However, I think the big difference here is that while the Bucks have 2 elite rim protectors in Lopez and Giannis, the Bucks defense is built around dropping Lopez in coverage. This takes away the paint, but it also gives up more uncontested jump shots. In comparison, The Pelicans are taking Adams away from the paint to challenge the ball handler, so it makes sense that the Pelicans are giving up a high field goal percentage at the rim. Basically, the Pelicans are choosing to deny entry to the paint, so when opposing teams do get into the paint, they have a decent chance of getting a good shot. However, what stands out to me is that the Pelicans are also taking away the mid-range shot at an elite level, something the Bucks don't do, and if the Pelicans manage to take away the paint and the mid-range shot consistently, I think it is easily conceivable that they will remain a top 10 defense, especially if Zion can develop as a rotating shot blocker to contest the ball when it does get past Adams. Now, the biggest gameplay criticism of the Adams acquisition was that his lack of shooting would hurt Zion's offensive game and limit the overall offense. While this may be true, it is also true that shooting centers who are elite defensively are rare entities that are not easily acquired. Instead, I think the Pelicans, who have two naturally talented scorers in Zion and Brandon Ingram, gambled on their young stars offensively and decided to invest in strengthening their defense. That said, Adams is definitely capable of helping an offense run. Already you can see how Adams helps create motion in the offense with his screens, movements, finishing, and passing. Adams is a great screen setter, using his natural size and strength to create space and punish defenders. He is also a smart player that knows where to be on the court to help his team. So when defenders try to double or hedge on the pick and roll, Adams can slip from the screen and become a passing playmaker. This should allow the Pelicans to build an offense around pick and rolls and off-ball actions, which will hopefully keep the offense from stagnating in the half court. Also, Adams has enough of a post game that he can target weaker defenders, like the Heat's promising rookie Precious Achiuwa. In a league that has been getting smaller, this could give the Pelicans matchup advantages against numerous teams that lack size at the 5 position. And Adams' passing will not only help in the half-court offense, but should be instrumental in starting transition opportunities for a Pelicans team that hopes to be one of the league's best fast-break offenses. Another key is that Adams can help Zion through his threat as an elite offensive rebounder. Adams' threat on the offensive glass forces his defender to stay close to him, which creates space for Zion around the rim. It is well known that Zion is gifted at rebounding his own missed shots, and the presence of Adams inside will help keep opposing centers from rotating to take away Zion's second chance opportunities. And if the opposing center does rotate to Zion, then Adams is free to attack the glass. An underrated aspect of this combined rebounding presence is that opposing big men are going to be baited into a lot of fouls as they try to fight through the natural strength of Zion and Adams. I think what a lot of pundits forget about this combination is that superstars like Zion are so valued because of their ability to score against defenses that are focused on them. For me, the reality is that having a shooting center like Brook Lopez is great. It really is, but it doesn't stop defenses from packing the paint and building a wall against Giannis. In fact, the entire Bucks defensive system is built around the idea that they would rather take away the rim from Giannis and in exchange let Lopez shoot 23s a game, especially because part of the Bucks philosophy is that they will happily gamble on allowing someone like Lopez to take 23 attempts when he only averages 4 to 6 per game. So I think the Pelicans are betting on this philosophy. They are saying why prioritize acquiring a shooting center when their entire defensive philosophy is built around the idea of letting the opposing team's shooting center shoot in volume. Instead, I think the Pelicans want to prioritize Zion and Brandon Ingram, and they want to do so while having a strong defense. And while Zion may be limited in some ways by the presence of Adams, I am convinced Adams can help Brandon Ingram reach his true potential as an elite offensive machine. I think Adams benefits Brandon Ingram because of Ingram's improved shooting ability and his naturally high release point. So all Adams has to do is give Ingram a little breathing room with a screen, and Ingram can consistently get a high percentage shot off. This pick and roll combo is going to be the Pelicans' bread and butter this season, and I expect Ingram to feast on mid-range jumpers while he also continues to improve at attacking the rim. And like I covered before, if opposing defenses try to double Ingram off the screen, Ingram can use his height to easily make the pass to Adams where Adams turns into a playmaker. And if they hedge Ingram, Adams can slip the screen, again becoming a playmaker in open space. So I think the result of this combination is going to be the teams start to switch the screen, which will end up creating a lot of one-on-one opportunities for Ingram against opposing centers, which is actually an area that I think Ingram needs to improve in to truly unlock his game. At the same time, If opposing defenses are switching the screen, then that means Adams can punish smaller defenders. I believe the result of this team building experiment will be a team with an offensive identity and a defensive physicality that makes the Pelicans a handful for any team on any night. And I think there is a strong possibility that this team makes some real noise in the playoffs this year. Now for the Hornets, the key need was on the offensive side. Last year, the Hornets were dead last in points scored. Now that the Hornets have added LaMelo Ball in this NBA draft, it is important that the Hornets make offensive improvements to help LaMelo have the best rookie year possible. This is especially important because young point guards historically struggle in their first year, even when they aren't handicapped by the worst offense in basketball. I actually think Hayward is uniquely suited to this team because one of the biggest areas of weakness for the Hornets offense is a lack of an inside scorer who can be a dangerous roll man or pick and popper. This is actually a similar situation to the team composition in Boston. In Boston, Hayward played beside Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, who are all capable scorers with the ball in their hands. Because of this abundance of offensive perimeter scoring, combined with a lack of an inside scoring threat to run the offense through, the Celtics often relied on Hayward to create motion in the offense. This was especially clear in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, when the Celtics were frustrated by a zone that aimed to take away Kemba's pick-and-roll attack. Even though Hayward was injured and rusty in his return to the series, it was still a pivotal moment, as Hayward's passing and decision-making busted the Miami zone and forced the Miami Heat to recalibrate their defense. I think the Hornets recognize that they also have a stash of talented perimeter scorers in Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, and now LaMelo Ball. I believe the job of Hayward will be to help create fluidity and ball movement in this offense, while taking some of the pressure off the perimeter scorers to create for other players. What makes Hayward ideal for this role is that he is a creative scorer with size that can shoot, pass, and attack the rim. In this way, he is a utility tool that can do whatever the offense needs at that moment. He's also already settled into the role of a floor general on offense and defense and can regularly be seen directing his teammates during the game. Specifically, his shooting and finishing will help him serve as an outlet for LaMelo to target, and Hayward's ball handling will help take the focus off Devontae Graham. This is vital for Graham as he saw a meteoric rise in value last season be hampered by opposing defenses that started prioritizing him. Ideally, an improved offense will lead to better growth in Graham and LaMelo and help them to reach their full potential as offensively gifted guards. Also, the Hornets have young promising players like PJ Washington and Miles Bridges, and for the Hornets to really see how promising these players can be, they first need to put an offense around them that isn't dead last in the NBA. Overall, there is already a noticeable flow to the offense when Hayward is on the court. Finally, I do think it's a sad reality that NBA pundits lambast teams for getting better. I think what it comes down to is viewers forgetting what it means to be a losing team, and even worse, a losing culture. They forget that players have to deal with the disappointment of every loss, and that players can certainly learn to lose. And while the players may need to find ways to cope with extended losing, or with being on a team that doesn't compete to win on a nightly basis, the fans do not hesitate to take their own frustrations out on the players. So I ask, how many times have we seen teams with young stars overspend near the end of the player's rookie contract in fear of the player wanting to leave for a better team? How many times have we seen a young player get drafted early, struggle early, and lose confidence? Clearly, players want to be a part of winning, and it can be hard on them when they are not. I believe the Hornets and Pelicans are investing in their young stars, and I applaud them for it, even if it ends up being a costly gamble.